Ryuman's smile widened as he received the maximum amount of gold, making him appreciate the buff he had received from Julie even more. With a total of 16,249 gold, he knew it would be more than enough to acquire an epic item. Since the item he desired would be available in 2 weeks, he decided to save the gold for now, returning to their house. Upon arriving, Ryuman greeted his brother, Ryawan, who immediately inquired about his date. Confused, Ryuman responded, dismissing the notion of a date and changing the subject by asking what Ryawan had for lunch. Ryawan replied that he had ordered black bean noodles. Ryuman advised him to choose something nicer, leading to a playful argument about the merits of black bean noodles. Reflecting on their past struggles just a month ago, Ryuman thought about his Bitcoin investment, which had now reached $150 million. He anticipated that, like previous attempts, it would likely experience a sharp crash in 2 weeks, prompting him to sell before that happened. Additionally, he realized it was time for him to obtain a driver's license. At the driver's license written exam, Ryuman contemplated how many times he had taken the test before, considering half-heartedly completing it and leaving. He stood up and departed, leaving the exam proctor confused. The proctor checked the computer and discovered that Ryuman had achieved a score of 95 in such a short time. Returning home, Ryuman proudly showed his license to his brother, who was impressed by the quick accomplishment. Ryuman boasted that it had taken him only 4 days to obtain the license, jokingly stating that his driving experience surpassed anyone else's. However, he suddenly questioned his age and how many years had truly passed. Soon after acquiring his license, Ryuman wasted no time in purchasing a Lamborghini Aventador, as it had been his preferred choice in previous attempts. Speaking to an auto sales representative, Ryuman inquired about the timeline for direct import. The representative informed him that if he placed the order that day, he would receive the car within a month. Satisfied with the answer, Ryuman promptly signed the necessary documents, bringing delight to the sales representative. Finally, 2 weeks later, the anticipated moment arrived. It was time for Ryuman to part ways with Bitcoin. With a grin on his face, Ryawan noticed and questioned the reason for his brother's elation. Ryuman revealed that he had sold all his Bitcoin, prompting Ryawan to ask how much he had made. Ryuman calmly replied, stating that he had earned $300 million. This revelation astonished Ryawan, nearly causing him to spill his coffee. Reflecting on the past, Ryawan recalled that just a month ago, he had wanted Ryuman to stop investing when he heard about putting all the money into Bitcoin. Now witnessing Ryuman's massive success, he was genuinely shocked. Ryuman admitted that he hadn't expected the investment to grow so significantly either, mentioning that in his previous attempt, $280 million was the maximum he had reached. Ryawan asked if Ryuman planned to withdraw his investment now, to which Ryuman confidently replied, "Of course." This response brought joy to Ryawan, who sipped his coffee with a sense of satisfaction. Ryuman then declared that it was time to start investing in stocks, causing Ryawan to spill his coffee in surprise. Questioning Ryuman's knowledge of stocks, Ryawan asked what his plan was when he knew very little about the subject. Ryuman reassured him, stating that he had seen it in his dream. Ryawan questioned whether it was another premonition dream, speculating if it revealed which stocks to buy. Ryuman affirmed this, confidently stating that if he purchased the stocks now, they would hit big. With a sigh, Ryawan resigned himself, telling Ryuman to do as he pleased. Ryuman couldn't blame Ryawan for being nervous about his stock investment plans. However, he was confident in his knowledge of the future. He had decided to invest in Heavenly Demon Consulting Corporation, a company ranked 85th on KOSDAQ and valued at approximately $900 million. This company, under Gyeonglok's ownership, would formulate a special system after round 4 and experience exponential growth. Knowing this, Ryuman saw no reason not to invest, as he was aware it would hit big. He planned to invest $280 million to obtain 31% ownership and gain significant influence as a major shareholder. His thoughts were interrupted when he heard Ryawan praying loudly, hoping that his brother's dream would be right again. Ryuman proceeded with his stock purchase, thinking that he had taken care of that aspect and now needed to focus on buying the items he desired. At midnight on the same day, Ryuman opened the shop window from the comfort of his bed. He browsed through the shop, realizing that he could purchase items and common skills as long as he had enough gold. He found it incredibly convenient, even though the available items were of normal rank and not rare or epic. Nevertheless, today's item was the one he needed, an epic item called the Skeletal Necklace. The Skeletal Necklace provided a +3 intelligence bonus and a 1% attack speed increase per enemy killed, up to 25% effectiveness until the end of the round. It had a restriction that only apprentices and those above could wear it, and its price was 4,600 gold. Ryuman was ecstatic, knowing that this was the item he had been waiting for and that he had the means to obtain it. Ryuman opened his inventory and retrieved the 50% discount voucher he had received for completing the advancement quest. Using the voucher, the original price of the necklace dropped from 4,600 gold to 2,300 gold. Without hesitation, Ryuman pressed the buy button and successfully purchased the skeletal necklace. With 13,949 gold remaining, he realized he still had a substantial amount of gold left. Originally, he had planned to buy a set of normal equipment with the remaining gold, but now he had a new goal in mind, to save up an additional 6,000 gold to buy another common skill. He believed that a common skill would be more valuable than normal equipment. Determined, he decided to quickly earn the required amount of gold, taking advantage of the abundance of monsters in round 3. As time passed, it eventually reached March 1, 2023, the day when the players would be summoned into another world once again. The players have been summoned once again, but this time to a different location. Unlike the previous rounds where they were in a forest, this time they found themselves in a village that had been destroyed. There were no villagers present, only the players. One of the players exclaimed that the village was now just a ruin. They noticed that the village was surrounded by a fortress wall, and in the center, there was a large crystal. They were curious about what they would be doing in round 3. Black Scythe thought that this place was unfamiliar to them, and everyone seemed anxious except for Jong-sik, who appeared relatively calm. Jong-sik overheard murmurs behind him about being their region representative. Another person confirmed this and mentioned that he was rumored to be a gang boss who had used a sword to threaten others into voting for him. They believed Black Scythe should have been the representative instead of Jong-sik, whom they referred to as a murderer. One person warned their friend that Jong-sik could hear them, but the friend replied that it didn't matter because he could only use his authority 10 times, so there was nothing to fear. This made Jong-sik angry, and he shouted at them to shut their mouths. Others overheard this and questioned why he was swearing, as if people didn't swear because they were unable to. Jong-sik turned towards the source of the murmurs and shouted at them, demanding to know who was running their mouth. Jong-sik thought to himself that he knew this would happen, and he blamed an angel for not keeping quiet. In a sudden turn of events, a man approached Jong-sik and greeted him. It turned out to be Young Min, who expressed his admiration and referred to Jong-sik as the boss of the Jong-sik gang. Young Min stated that he came to greet Jong-sik, referring to him as, "Life is a documentary." Jong-sik asked if Young Min was already a member of the gang, to which Young Min replied that he was a young man in his 20s hoping to become a gangster. Jong-sik was confused by Young Min's aspiration to become a gangster and wondered what kind of person he was. Young Min explained that Jong-sik was his role model, and joining the Jong-sik gang was his ultimate desire. Intrigued, Jong-sik asked Young Min why he wanted to join. Young Min knelt down and vowed to serve Jong-sik as his senior for the rest of his life, requesting to be taken in. Jong-sik smiled, thinking that he had encountered many eccentric individuals before, but Young Min's enthusiasm was unique and admirable. He commanded Young Min to stand up, and he complied. Jong-sik then questioned Young Min if he was aware of Jong-sik's ruined reputation and still insisted on serving him. Young Min replied that he didn't care about Jong-sik's reputation and respected him regardless. As long as Jong-sik accepted him, he didn't mind what others thought of him. Jong-sik smiled and expressed his approval, stating that he liked Young Min's response. He agreed to take responsibility for Young Min and guide him. Young Min bowed once again and thanked Jong-sik for accepting him into the gang, considering it an honor. Meanwhile, the people continued to murmur, questioning Jong-sik's alliance with Life as a Documentary, and suggesting that he might be insane. As the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. Black Scythe, on the other hand, believed that Jong-sik had teamed up with Jong-sik once again and saw this as a positive development. The angel made her appearance and inquired if all the humans had gathered. She assessed the situation and remarked that there seemed to be around 90 fewer people this time. The participants were puzzled by the decrease and asked for an explanation. At that moment, a system message appeared, revealing the main quest for the third round. to protect the relic for 3 hours. The system also displayed the total number of participants across all regions and the number specific to their own region. Despite the information provided, the participants still questioned why there were fewer people this time. The angel responded by stating that it was unlikely that all of them had suddenly dropped dead. It appeared that they had fought each other in the real world, which deeply concerned the angel, considering the extent of their conflicts. Suddenly, a man called everyone's attention and pointed out the number of participants who could successfully complete this round. They discovered that only 1,225 people would be able to survive, which shocked them as it was reduced to almost a quarter of the previous number. Another man questioned the angel, suggesting that it might be an error. The angel let out a menacing laugh and explained that it was not an error. She reminded them that in each round, only half of the participants could survive, yet everyone had managed to survive the previous round. Therefore, it made sense for only a quarter to survive this round. The people felt frightened and believed it was unfair. The angel dismissed their concerns, stating that there was nothing unfair about it. She encouraged them to work hard and aim to be in the top 25%. She proceeded to explain the details of the third round. Monsters from her army would emerge from the castle gates every 30 minutes and target the relic at the center of the village. There would be a total of 4 waves, and it was crucial for everyone to collaborate in protecting the relic. If they successfully safeguarded it for 3 hours, they would receive additional rewards. However, failure to protect it would result in a significant penalty. Furthermore, regardless of the outcome, participants would be ranked based on the number of monsters they defeated. Due to the nature of the round, there could be an increased number of monsters, but they would be weaker, at 1/3 of their usual strength, making it somewhat easier. However, this also meant that the gold and experience rewards would be reduced by the same proportion. Jong-sik pondered the situation and concluded that all he needed to do was defeat numerous monsters. He believed the round would be easy for him since he possessed the authority of command. The angel spoke once again, exclaiming, "Ah, I almost forgot." She reminded everyone that the representative chosen in the previous round was, "Life is a documentary." From this round onwards, that representative would be able to utilize the authority of command. However, the angel posed a question to pique everyone's curiosity. What would happen if the representative was killed by another player instead of a monster or natural causes? In such a scenario, the killer would immediately become the new region representative and receive 10 full uses of the authority of command. The angel added monsters will appear in 10 minutes. Work together for 3 hours and survive, though I'm not sure if you'll be able to. With that announcement, the angel disappeared, leaving the participants to contemplate the upcoming challenges. Jong-sik became agitated and angry when he realized that people behind him were armed and eyeing him, aware that by killing him, they could acquire the authority of command. In response, Jong-sik summoned his dagger and boldly challenged them, declaring that he would take them all on and starting with whoever dared to approach him first. The people taunted him, pointing out that he could only use the authority of command 10 times. One individual questioned if they would genuinely obtain the authority of command from Jong-sik. Another person expressed their desire to become the region representative themselves. As the people turned their attention to someone approaching, they noticed it was Black Scythe. Jong-sik questioned Black Scythe's intentions, to which Black Scythe reassured him, urging him not to be afraid and stating that he only wanted to talk. Jong-sik pretended to be unafraid and told Black Scythe to speak his mind. However, he also warned that if Black Scythe intended to threaten him into submission, Black Scythe interrupted Jong-sik, offering a suggestion. He acknowledged that Jong-sik was currently in a difficult situation and proposed to protect him. Jong-sik, unable to comprehend Black Scythe's offer, asked with confusion, "What?" In response, Black Scythe explained that he would protect Jong-sik to prevent other players from targeting him. Essentially, Black Scythe would take responsibility and serve as Jong-sik's personal escort. The people were surprised upon hearing that Black Scythe would protect Jong-sik because it meant they would have to face Black Scythe as well if they wanted to acquire the authority of command. They began discussing among themselves, unsure of what to do next. Jong-sik thought to himself that the name Black Scythe seemed to hold great reverence. Judging by the reactions of the others, the offer was truly tempting. However, he also recognized that there would always be a price to pay. Curiously, Jong-sik asked Black Scythe what he wanted in return for his protection. Black Scythe replied that he didn't want much, Jong-sik simply had to follow all of his commands. This surprised Jong-sik, making him wonder if Black Scythe was asking him to become his subordinate. Jong-sik then asked Black Scythe the reason behind the offer, but Black Scythe stated that he couldn't disclose it. Jong-sik proceeded to ask about the nature of the commands, but once again, Black Scythe refused to provide any details. He insisted that Jong-sik had to follow his orders unconditionally. Jong-sik thought to himself, feeling a mix of resistance and disbelief. He wondered if he should refuse the offer and questioned whether Black Scythe would resort to violence in broad daylight if he did. Agitated, Jong-sik contemplated his decision while Black Scythe urged him to choose, reminding him that others were waiting for his response. Finally, Jong-sik declared that he would reject the offer. Black Scythe, expecting this outcome, thought to himself that he knew Jong-sik wouldn't let go of his pride easily. One man commented on Jong-sik's rejection, questioning why he would turn it down when accepting would have allowed him to hunt safely. Another person speculated that Jong-sik's pride had been wounded by the notion of following orders. A girl holding a sword remarked that it seemed like Jong-sik valued his pride more than his life, while a man with a spear suggested that maybe Jong-sik thought little of them. Black Scythe, reminded of a similar situation from his past life, decided to draw a clear line. He said, "Fine, if you reject, then there's nothing I can do. Since you rejected, I won't pay any more attention to it. Whether you live or die, it's none of my business." With that, Black Scythe left. One man exclaimed, "Did you hear that? Black Scythe won't care." Another man with an axe replied, "Then we can target that gangster bastard as we please." Frustrated, Jong-sik pondered whether he should have simply accepted the offer. A system message abruptly appeared, notifying them that Wave 1 would commence shortly. They were instructed to be prepared for the appearance and disappearance of monsters and to safeguard the relic. Regardless of the number of monsters dealt with, Wave 2 would begin in 30 minutes. The countdown for the round to end had begun, with 3 hours remaining. Jong-sik realized that he couldn't fight alongside those who were targeting him. Since it was a personal mission, he felt he had no choice but to tackle it alone. Suddenly, he caught sight of Black Scythe heading somewhere, prompting Jong-sik to wonder where that person was going. Following his curiosity, Jong-sik trailed behind Black Scythe as he walked alone through an alley. Jong-sik speculated whether Black Scythe was planning to fight alone as well, and if he was heading towards the entrance. Wave 1 commenced, and the gate swung open. In their region, there were 4,900 players facing off against 9,800. Weakened goblins marching to destroy the relic. A system message appeared, informing them that due to the nature of the round, the goblins were only a third of their usual strength. The system expressed its hope for their success. As Jong-sik caught sight of the monsters, fear gripped him, prompting him to run away. He thought to himself, "This is insane. I should hide for now and observe the situation." He entered one of the houses and climbed upstairs to get a better view of the situation. From his vantage point, Jong-sik noticed that Black Scythe wasn't moving. He wondered if Black Scythe was really planning to face the goblins alone at the entrance. Although the entrance was narrow, it was still wide enough for at least 10 people to pass through. Jong-sik questioned whether Black Scythe was confident enough to take on 10 opponents single-handedly. As Jong-sik reached the top of the house, he witnessed Black Scythe standing at the entrance, with a horde of goblins rushing towards him. The goblins were armed with daggers, and their aggression was evident. Black Scythe assumed a stance and swung his Reaper's scythe, swiftly dispatching multiple goblins. Even more goblins attempted a coordinated attack, but Black Scythe leapt into action, swiftly eliminating all the monsters in his path. Watching Black Scythe's display of strength, Jong-sik couldn't help but be amazed. He wondered if Black Scythe's power came from reaching level 16. The sight left Jong-sik truly astounded by Black Scythe's prowess. Black Scythe summoned a black aura and unleashed a powerful slash, obliterating all the monsters surrounding him. In that moment, Jong-sik realized that it wasn't the time for him to be pondering these thoughts. The battle between players and goblins would be fierce, and he needed to focus. Meanwhile, at the other entrance, the people were struggling to defend the relic, unable to dispatch the goblins as effortlessly as Black Scythe. They shouted, desperately trying to prevent the goblins from getting closer to the relic. However, the west entrance had already been breached. From the top of the house, Jong-sik descended and made his way to the road, intending to confront the goblins head-on. He swiftly dispatched one goblin with his dagger, and as another goblin approached from behind, he stabbed it in the chest, eliminating the threat. Jong-sik smiled, grateful for the assistance of the rune of detection, which allowed him to anticipate the goblin's movements and make the task seem easy. However, his moment of triumph was abruptly interrupted when an arrow narrowly missed his face, grazing his skin and embedding itself in the wooden structure behind him. Jong-sik realized that he hadn't encountered goblins capable of firing arrows before. Frustrated, he thought to himself, "Which bastard is it? Even if I don't know who it is, just wait until I catch you. I'll tear the flesh from your bones." Suddenly, a man wielding a spear pierced Jong-sik's stomach, confidently declaring that he had captured him. Despite the pain, Jong-sik mustered the strength to grab the spear, yank it out of his own body, and swiftly retaliate. He stabbed the man in the chest with his dagger. Just as he was about to strike again, an arrow narrowly missed his head once more, disrupting his attack. Jong-sik locked eyes with the man holding the bow. Jong-sik preparing to throw a stolen spear. The spear found its mark, piercing the head of its intended target, and blood burst into the man's head. Feeling the pain from the earlier stabbing, Jong-sik pondered the situation. He realized that he needed to be more concerned about other players than the monsters themselves. Frustrated with his role as the region representative, he cursed himself, wishing he could hand over the position to someone else. The thought crossed his mind, should he have accepted Black Scythe's help after all? No, he couldn't allow himself to become Black Scythe's subordinate. He clung to his pride. There had to be a solution, a way to hunt safely without constantly worrying about other players. In an instant, he spotted a man he recognized, the current third-ranked individual in the region, known as Black Dragon in my right arm. Jong-sik's face twisted into a menacing smile as a brilliant idea formed in his mind. He called him and the man inquired about his identity. Utilizing his authority of command, Jong-sik pointed his dagger toward Black Dragon in my right arm, and issued a directive for him to protect him from that moment forward. The skeletal necklace bestowed upon Black Scythe a 25% increase in attack speed, and with each goblin he slew, his kill count rose to 502. The 3 times experience buff was in effect, and all his stats were boosted by 100% thanks to the Butcher rune. He gained 3.33 gold for each goblin killed, along with an additional 1.66 gold. Curious about his progress, Black Scythe opened his status window and was pleased to see that he had already earned nearly 2,000 gold. Delighted with his earnings, he contemplated how easily he would be able to amass 20,000 gold during the second wave. In fact, he even considered saving more gold this time around to purchase 2 common skills, as doing so would grant him the coveted Heart's True Thoughts rune. While engrossed in his thoughts, Black Scythe noticed goblins approaching from behind. Without hesitation, he swiftly dispatched them with a powerful slash, causing the remaining goblins to freeze in fear. Unperturbed, Black Scythe declared, "If you won't come to me, then I'll come to you." Wielding his Reaper's scythe, he continued to eliminate the goblins without mercy. Meanwhile, at the Relic, the other players remained steadfast in their defense. Suddenly, they heard an unfamiliar sound and wondered about its origin. To their surprise, the goblins began to dissipate, and a system message appeared, announcing their success in blocking the first wave. The message also displayed the count of surviving players, 3,933, and the number of casualties, 967 dead players. As a reward for their survival, each player was granted 500 gold. One man claimed that he needed to rest before round 2 commenced. Black Scythe contemplated the loss of 967 lives, acknowledging that even weakened goblins shouldn't be underestimated. He looked around to find Jong-sik and discovered that he had managed to survive. Impressed by Jong-sik's resilience, Black Scythe knew that the upcoming round would pose a significant challenge for him. Remaining vigilant, Jong-sik couldn't help but feel frustrated as he realized that the enemies weren't attacking the goblins but seemed solely focused on targeting him. Suddenly, a man stealthily approached him from behind, wielding a knife with the intention of killing him. However, Young Min and Black Dragon in my arms swiftly intervened, protecting him and eliminating the assailant. Grateful for their assistance, Jong-sik acknowledged the effectiveness of the authority of command and remarked how his protectors acted as valuable shields, allowing him to survive the first wave. Young Min inquired about his well-being, prompting Jong-sik to think about how Young Min continued to support him despite not using the authority of command to him. Feeling the pain and seeing the bleeding from his stomach wound, Jong-sik grew concerned about his ability to endure in his current state. However, he resolved to tenaciously survive and emerge from the round as if he were showcasing his resilience. As they contemplated their next move, the sound of the second wave started to reach their ears. They learned that 3,933 players would be facing off against 7,866 weakened goblins and hobgoblins. The system emphasized that the goblins were only a third of their usual strength and expressed hope for their success in battle. Black Scythe positioned himself once again at the entrance, and the hobgoblins and goblins charged towards him. With a wide swing from left to right using his left hand, he swiftly dispatched multiple monsters. Jumping into the air, Black Scythe confronted a monster and delivered a powerful slash, cutting them in half and causing their demise. As the battle raged on, the road became littered with the corpses of the defeated monsters. Finally reaching level 20, Black Scythe received a system notification that his rank had advanced from apprentice to regular. He was now able to utilize the combination function, allowing him to create unique items that were not available in the store. Wiping the sweat from his brow, he thought to himself, "I did it. I've reached level 20, now I can use the combination function to craft exclusive items." The system message provided more information, announcing that to commemorate his rank increase, the insignia of death had been strengthened. The additional damage of the insignia of death had increased from 100% to 120%. Additionally, Black Scythe had acquired a new Reaper exclusive skill called Night of Death. This skill cast a darkness energy within a 500-meter radius, creating an artificial night. The caster had the ability to remove the skill at will. The system also informed him that the next skill would be learned at level 40. Black Scythe thought to himself, "My insignia of death now deals additional damage of 120% and I have a new skill, Night of Death." This skill synergizes well with the Reaper rune, especially since it becomes stronger during the night. The effect of the Reaper rune granted Black Scythe double weapon attack during the day and a 50% increase in attack speed during the night. Closing the status window, Black Scythe focused his gaze on the approaching goblins. With a smile on his face, he eagerly planned to test out his new skill. Utilizing Night of Death, he enveloped the surroundings in dark energy, rendering the monsters unable to see. In the darkness, Black Scythe swiftly severed the monsters' heads and slashed through the confusion of the goblins. As he confidently stood amidst the corpses, round 2 came to an end. The number of surviving players now stood at 3,343, while the number of dead players rose to 590. Once again, the surviving players were rewarded with 500 gold each. Black Scythe opened the shop window, contemplating his next purchase. Determined, he thought, the first common skill I'll buy is presence detection. With this skill, I'll be able to identify all targets within a 30-meter radius. As he acquired and used the presence detection skill, he couldn't help but notice that the only things within the 30-meter range were goblin corpses. This led him to ponder whether he should save up another 20,000 gold. The third wave began, with 3,343 players facing off against 6,686 weakened hobgoblins. The players engaged the monsters once again, and with Black Scythe by their side, they successfully cleared the third wave. In the fourth wave, 3,001 players remained to battle against 6,002 weakened hobgoblins. Young Min showcased his strength by defeating goblins with his fists, while Jong-sik utilized the authority to command people to protect him from both monsters and players. They successfully defended the Relic once again in the fourth round. Jong-sik thought to himself, "Just one more hour. If I can hold on for one more hour, I can escape with my life. Even though I've exhausted all of my authority of commands, as long as these guys are protecting me, I won't be in danger." The fifth wave began with 2,700 players remaining, facing off against 10,800 weakened gnolls. Jong-sik was shocked by the sheer number of gnolls and wondered why there were so many of them. The gnolls entered through the gate, and the players engaged in battle with them. Jong-sik resolved to become stronger, vowing to rip the throats of everyone who had looked down on him. Suddenly, a group of players attacked Jong-sik's men. One man pointed at Jong-sik, calling him a gangster bastard, while another claimed that the region representative was his target. Another player shouted that they had to kill Jong-sik this time. Jong-sik commanded his men to protect him, but, unfortunately, those who defended him met a pitiful end at the hands of the players. Jong-sik was left with only 3 men affected by the authority of command, and he found himself cornered. Realizing that this wasn't the time to be hunting monsters, as the players were now targeting him, Jong-sik made a run for it with the players in pursuit. He desperately thought to himself, "I just need to survive this wave, just this wave." Jong-sik sought out Black Scythe, calling out to him and accepting his offer. He pleaded, Black Scythe, I accept your offer. I'll do whatever you say, so please protect me. Black Scythe remained silent, prompting Jong-sik to shout, I'm saying I'll accept your offer, Black Scythe. Protect me. Finally, Black Scythe responded, I reject. Black Scythe reminded Jong-sik that he had previously stated his indifference towards his fate. Jong-sik mentioned the offer he made and pleaded to become his underling, but Black Scythe refused, saying I don't need an underling who doesn't even have authority of command. Jong-sik was taken aback and frustrated, thinking to himself, damn it. Is he saying he has no use for me? If I had known this, I would have accepted earlier. One man exclaimed, did everyone see that? He rejected the offer. Another man expressed relief, saying, what a relief. I was wondering what we'd do if Black Scythe had helped. The players who were chasing Jong-sik caught up to him and declared, now we can kill him to our heart's content. Despite being alone, Jong-sik held onto his dagger and was determined to fight. He shouted, even if I die, I'll kill at least one more of you. Suddenly, Young Min appeared and suppressed the players, preventing them from attacking Jong-sik. Young Min asked, you're tired, right? I've come to help you. A wide smile appeared on Jong-sik's face, and he promised to take good care of Young Min if he made it out alive. However, unexpectedly, Young Min punched Jong-sik in the face. Young Min's punch struck Jong-sik with great force, causing him to fall to the ground. Jong-sik didn't immediately get up as the blow had taken its toll on him. With a cold tone, Young Min said, Sunbainum, I'll kill you so you can die comfortably. He grabbed Jong-sik's clothes and delivered a series of powerful punches to his face, one after another. Each punch was devastating due to his high stats and the strength rune he possessed. Jong-sik's face became unrecognizable as he was beaten mercilessly. Jong-sik couldn't help but wonder, am I betrayed by that bastard? The pain and confusion overwhelmed him. Young Min finished Jong-sik off with a final kick, and a system message appeared, indicating that the region representative, Jong-sik, life as a documentary, had been murdered. The power of the representative was now passed on to the murderer, Young Min, who was declared the new region representative. Clutching his fist, Young Min proudly declared, now I am the region representative. I'm the king. He received the authority of command, a symbol of his newfound power. Young Min thought to himself, now if I put my mind to it, I can control Seo Aaron as I please. He then turned to Jong-sik, still lying on the ground, and said, I'll put the authority to command to good use, Hyungnim. Don't be too mad, didn't this happen because the boss of Jong-sik's gang kept running away? How embarrassing. Young Min addressed the other players, saying, guys. Did you see that? Me beating him up, I told you there was a good chance of winning. The players agreed. People in the vicinity were shocked by the brutal scene. One person commented, that bastard. Killing someone with his bare hands. I'm getting goosebumps. Crazy psycho bastard. Who would have thought he would actually die? Confusion arose among the players as they discussed the situation. One man asked, isn't he the one who was sucking up to the gangster? Another man wondered, did he plan to betray him from the start? One player expressed fear, saying, how scary. Another player was angry and exclaimed, how could such a person become the region representative? Meanwhile, Young Min smiled confidently, thinking to himself, are they after me now? It's unfortunate, but I have something I know will get me out of this. Young Min hurriedly left and sought out Black Scythe, finding him nearby. Black Scythe noticed Young Min's distress and asked what was wrong. Young Min explained, did you see the message? Now I'm the region representative. I have the authority to command. Black Scythe responded nonchalantly, so. Young Min continued, that offer you gave to life is a documentary, I'll accept it. In other words, I'll do everything you say. In return, please protect me. Young Min believed that Cho Jong-sik was abandoned because he lacked the authority to command, so he assumed Black Scythe would accept his offer. Black Scythe, unimpressed, said, I don't like your attitude. But if you get on your knees and beg, then I might consider it. Young Min retorted, no, did you not hear me? I have the authority to command. Black Scythe remained unfazed and replied, so what? What do you want me to do about it? It seems you're misunderstanding something, but the one who loses out on this is you, not me. You want my protection, get on your knees and beg. With no other choice and feeling the player's target on him due to the authority of command, Young Min glanced back at Black Scythe and suddenly found himself on his knees, begging, I'll do whatever you say. So please use me as your underling. I beg of you, Black Scythe. Black Scythe thought to himself, I've seen this so many times that I'm getting sick of it. However, unlike Cho, Jong-sik, Wang Youngmin has some use. For now, agreeing to Youngmin's plea, Black Scythe responded, "Fine, I'll accept your offer." Youngmin expressed his gratitude repeatedly, but Black Scythe interrupted, saying, "Stop it. I don't want to see your sorry self." He walked behind Youngmin and announced to the players that Youngmin was now under his protection. The players contemplated their next move, unsure whether to attack Youngmin all at once or question if this was how it would end with Black Scythe protecting him. One man exclaimed, "Have you not seen Black Scythe fight? He's someone who takes on countless opponents at once. We have no chance against that kind of monster." Black Scythe offered some advice to the players, saying, "I'll give you some help with deciding. You have two choices. You can either give up on the region representative, go back like this, and hunt some monsters, or die at my hand." Black Scythe raised his weapon, pointing it at the players, and continued, "If possible, I'd recommend the first option, but the latter is fine as well because I'll no longer view anyone who wields a sword against me as human." The players, intimidated by his words, backed down. One man said, "I'll sit out," and another agreed. Youngmin thought to himself, how impressive. To think everyone would back off at Black Scythe's word. When he was a foe, he was fearsome, but as an ally, there's no one more reliable. Black Scythe observed the situation and thought, the atmosphere feels like things are slowly coming to an end. With this, we've safely cleared the fifth wave. However, if things end like this, it'll be upsetting. He called for Youngmin, who immediately responded. Black Scythe fulfilled his promise and told Youngmin, "As promised, do what I tell you." Confidently, Youngmin replied, "What should I do? Just give me the command." Black Scythe instructed him to use all 10 uses of the authority of command and break the relic. Confused, Youngmin recalled what the angel had said about receiving a massive penalty if he couldn't protect it. He wondered, but why? And if I use all 10 commands of authority, I can't turn Co Aaron into my slave. Youngmin asked, "May I ask why?" Black Scythe cut him off, saying, "Shut it and do as I say." Trying to find a compromise, Youngmin suggested, "Can I use 9 instead of 10? Black Scythe replied sternly, "I won't tell you again. If you don't want to die, choose now." Realizing he had no choice, Youngmin reluctantly said, "I understand. I'll do as you command." Black Scythe added, "And for your information, I'll designate who you use your authority of command on." Black Scythe proceeded to provide Youngmin with a list of usernames, including Shim Sungyui, Small Chili Pepper, Don't Bother Me, Spring, Summer, Autumn, and others. He ordered Youngmin to command these 10 people to break the relic. Youngmin was now truly confused and uttered, "Sorry." In his thoughts, Youngmin wondered, "What? All my friends are included. Could it be on purpose?" One of his friends objected, saying, "Hey, no way." Youngmin apologized to his friends, saying, "Guys, I'm sorry. It's Black Scythe's orders, so I hope you understand." Reluctantly, Youngmin began using the command, instructing Don't Bother Me, Shim Sungyui, Small Chili Pepper, Spring, Summer, Autumn, and 6 others to break the relic. Suddenly, a system message appeared, warning that the relic was under attack. The players were surprised and looked at the relic to see 10 people destroying it. People started shouting, demanding, "Hey, what are you doing? Stop this instant." One man questioned, "What are you doing? Are you trying to get the penalty?" Another man exclaimed, "At this rate, it will break." The players attempted to stop the people who had been commanded by Youngmin. One man held back the person attacking the relic, while another slashed the back of the attacker. However, despite their efforts, the relic was broken. A system message appeared, declaring, "The relic has been broken. The main quest has failed." As a penalty for the failure, the message stated that the proxy of divine retribution would be summoned for the next 30 minutes. The players were instructed to survive against the proxy of divine retribution, and the round would not end until the time ran out. Scared and confused, the players asked if the proxy was a boss. Black Scythe smiled confidently as the hidden quest began, "Survive against the proxy of divine retribution." The message mentioned a reward for success, a 3,000 gold payment, with 29 minutes and 59 seconds left on the clock. In round 3, there was a subquest to survive against the agent of divine punishment for a time limit of 30 minutes. If successful, each player would be rewarded with 3,000 gold. Upon learning about the reward for the subquest, the players were delighted. They compared it to the previous reward of only 2,000 gold for protecting the relic and agreed that this subquest was more profitable. Black Scythe thought to himself that the reward was even greater than clearing the 5th wave, which was why he had Wang Yongmin break the relic. However, he refrained from breaking the relic himself due to the associated penalty. Suddenly, a system message appeared, confirming that the players were attacking the relic. The 10 players who attacked the relic would receive a penalty, resulting in a permanent 50% decrease in all stats. Youngmin's friends were frustrated, expressing that they had merely followed orders. One of Youngmin's friends swore at Youngmin, who apologized and said, "Sorry, who knew there'd be a penalty like this?" Another system message appeared, announcing that the zone representative would also be penalized for failing to protect the relic. All stats would permanently decrease by 50%. Youngmin was confused and became angry. He kicked the wall, causing it to crack. Black Scythe thought to himself that permanent stat reductions were directly linked to survival and were therefore fatal. He then suggested, "Let's get ready to catch the agent of divine punishment, shall we?" Black Scythe opened the shop window and used the extra gold to purchase normal items. He bought an assassin hood, a helmet with A+3 agility effect, and astute long boots, shoes with A+2 agility and +5% movement speed effect. He believed that even the slightest boost in stats would make it easier to catch the agent. Next, Black Scythe opened the combination window. He combined the skull bone necklace with a mana stone successfully, resulting in the necklace gaining A+1 to all stats effect. Black Scythe realized that he could insert one mana stone on each piece of equipment, so he used the same method to enhance the remaining items. He combined the Seasoned Hunter's leather armor, and it gained A+1 damage reduction effect. Then, he combined the Grim Reaper's scythe with a mana stone, giving it A+2 strength effect. Black Scythe acknowledged that the lowest grade mana stone wouldn't be of much help, but he thought, it's better than nothing. As the players gathered in the center, a nervous atmosphere prevailed. One man exclaimed, "Let's just hang in there for 30 minutes. Another agreed, saying, "He's right. We can just keep running away." Meanwhile, Youngmin's group looked agitated. Black Scythe thought to himself, "I don't know. It won't be easy to run from the agent of divine punishment. In my last life, only around 500 out of 2,700 players survived. Simply trying to survive is extremely difficult. Originally, the agent of divine punishment is a monster that can barely be defeated by 5 level 40 players, but I plan on receiving a huge reward by killing it." A crack of golden light appeared in the air, and the boss seemed to emerge from within it. Black Scythe realized that because he possessed the title of First Ever Angel Slayer, which he acquired by defeating Betrayal, his stats would be doubled when facing divine-type enemies. The agent of divine punishment was indeed a divine-type creature. The agent of divine punishment appeared, resembling an angel but emanating a mage-like presence. It held a mage staff in its hand. As the players gazed at the divine agent, one of them remarked, "So, we can survive just by dodging that. Wouldn't this be way too easy? I thought a more formidable monster would appear." Youngmin reassured them, saying, "I got scared for nothing." His friend was captivated by the sight of the divine agent. The staff of the divine agent had a circular shape resembling hands, with a bell in the center. The divine agent landed on the ground and began walking. It raised its staff and slammed the tip of it into the ground, causing a magic barrier to materialize. The barrier continued to grow as the divine agent cast a spell. A system message appeared, indicating that the agent of divine punishment had activated a restriction field. The players could not leave the area unless the caster disarmed it. The players found themselves trapped within the barrier. They became nervous and frightened, unsure of what to do. All they could do was wait to see what would happen next. Another system message appeared, announcing that the stats of the players inside the field had been reduced by 50%. The players trapped by the barrier desperately banged on it and pleaded to be let out. Black Scythe thought to himself, "Are nearly 300 people caught inside? It's a shame, but I can't save all those 300 people." The wings of the divine agent unfurled, and it conjured thousands of arrows made of light. Black Scythe realized, it has begun. The divine agent unleashed a barrage of arrows of light, killing players within the barrier. It was a pitiful sight to behold. Other players started running, with one man exclaiming, "They wanted us to dodge that. It's difficult enough just to track them with our eyes." The divine agent conjured even more arrows of light, pointing them upwards. When it released them, it caused a rain of arrows to descend. The players were at a loss as to where to hide. Black Scythe understood that after being trapped inside, dodging the arrows of light was nearly impossible. However, on the flip side, it also meant that as long as one could dodge them, it wouldn't be a significant problem. Taking advantage of the distraction caused by the Divine Agent's attacks, Black Scythe ran alongside the barrier, thinking, now's the time. While everyone's distracted, he positioned himself behind the Divine Agent, realizing that while it hunted humans, it paid no attention to its own back. As soon as the barrier lifted, he planned to ambush it. After the Divine Agent finished its attack, the barrier gradually disappeared, signaling Black Scythe's opportunity to strike. With a powerful leap, he swung his scythe from above, knowing that he didn't have to worry about the Divine Agent turning around since it lacked the ability to hear. He was 5 meters away and aimed to deliver a fatal blow with his first attack. Employing his skill, the Seal of Death, a magical eye with a skull in the center materialized above the Divine Agent's head. He swung his Reaper's scythe and the Divine Agent turned to look at him. Black Scythe successfully hit the Divine Agent's eye and Black Scythe thought to himself that being cautious at this point was already too late. Pulling away his weapon, Black Scythe believed he had executed a perfect strike. He had hit the Divine Agent's eye precisely, causing the Divine Agent to react with pain, clutching its injured eye. Landing on the ground, Black Scythe swiftly moved away, knowing what the Divine Agent would do next. He realized that due to the Seal of Death, the Divine Agent now only had 60% of its stamina remaining. One attack had already depleted 40% of its stamina, so having 50% left was not too concerning. He surmised that the Divine Agent must be planning to cast the restriction field to come after him. The Agent of Divine Punishment cast the restriction field once again, but this time, nobody was caught. Black Scythe anticipated that as soon as the Divine Agent realized it had captured nothing within the field, it would lift the barrier. As soon as the Divine Agent lifted the field, Black Scythe swiftly closed the distance between himself and the Divine Agent, recognizing that he had already blinded one of its eyes. He resolved to take out the other eye as well. With a swing of his Reaper's scythe infused with dark energy, Black Scythe struck the Divine Agent's remaining eye. Screaming in pain, the Divine Agent became blind, and golden blood flowed from its face. Black Scythe, landing on the ground, the Divine Agent retaliated by casting the restriction field once again. Black Scythe found himself caught within the barrier but remained confident, smiling. A system message appeared, indicating that the stats of the players inside the field had dropped by 50%. However, Black Scythe paid no mind to it. Without any eyes, the Divine Agent was now nothing more than a defenseless punching bag. The Divine Agent conjured arrows of light once again, and Black Scythe realized that it planned to kill him by shooting arrows in all directions since it couldn't see. Being behind the Divine Agent, he activated his skill, the Night of Death. The dark energy of the Night of Death consumed all the arrows of light, surprising and confusing the Divine Agent. Black Scythe understood that light could not overcome darkness, as it was the nature of the world system. Once again, Black Scythe leapt high into the air, forming to swing his Reaper's scythe from above, intending to deliver the finishing blow to the Divine Agent. He thought to himself, let's end this now.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more content. Feel free to leave a comment down below sharing your thoughts or suggestions. If you want to stay updated on all our latest uploads, click the notification bell icon. And hey, why not check out some of our other videos popping up on the screen right now? If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by liking, sharing, and subscribing. It really means a lot. Peace.